this event today. I have an accent, so what I want you guys to do is to listen very carefully. When I was a college student, my professor told me, because I went to do study in Germany, that I have to listen because of the accent. So today, I want you guys to listen to me, and if you have any question, please ask me. If you don't get it, ask me, all right? All right, good. My names are Anthony Munene. It's spelled as Munene. All right? I was born in Kenya. And I went to school to study sustainable or organic farming. And so the best thing I think to do this before we even start about all this is to give you so that you know me, right? You get to know me, and then we take it from there. So I went to study organic farming, and then along the way I went to Germany to study biodynamic farming. All right, and then along the way I also studied permaculture, the science, right? So I was born in Kenya, and after the college I went to study biodynamic farming, and then after some years I came to US, and now I am working with ORIS, this Organization for Refugees and Immigrant Success. I worked with this organization for 3 years, and then I went back to Kenya because I really loved what we were doing here, and I wanted to start an organic farm business based on community development back in Kenya. So I went to Kenya for 3 years to start an organic farm business, working with the farmers as a collective, working together and selling together, until 4 weeks ago, when I came back again and I was told I have to present about ORIS and also about organic gardening. I was working with a company called Rexel Corporation from Japan to develop and design organic fertilizers. So that's what I was doing in Kenya. I was working to develop farm business, working with other farmers, and at the same time doing a research on what is best for African farmers, and like developing inputs with a company from Japan. And actually right now we are, as we speak, we are building and developing facility to be able to manufacture organic liquid fertilizers. Sorry? Correct, yes, organic, thank you. Organic fertilizer. So that's who I am. I was involved with this program when it began. When it took off, I was like, I'm out of here. And then I left, and then I came back. And now here we are. We are still pushing. So that's who I am. Okay? If you have any question after this, you can feel free to ask me. All right? So, ORIS, Organization for Refugees and Immigrant Success. Who are ORIS? Let's go. As long as I can figure out how to work with your new computer. Okay, great, thank you. All right, so who are refugees? As you know, a refugee is someone who has been forced to flee his or her own country because of persecution, war, or violence. A refugee has a well-founded fear of persecution for reason of race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership of a particular social group. Do we all understand who is a refugee? And I'm sure you all guys understand like who is a refugee and what's a refugee or someone looking for asylum. All right. 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 The refugee in New Hampshire, which is a very small state, as I have learned, they come from more than 30 nations and represent a diverse group of ethnic minorities. Many of New Hampshire refugees live in Manchester, Concord, and Rocania. Three town, Concord, Manchester, and Rocania. That's where they are mostly resettled. And we have a lot in Manchester because it's the biggest city in New Hampshire. All right. So, back in 2008, that's when all this began, and the reason to establish or set up all this was there were so many needs within the communities. So an organization was really needed to be able to offer services, community services, cultural literacy, employment services, outreach and advocacy, and also the trainings. And that's where we started the agriculture training. And the reason we started agriculture training was we looked at what are these refugees were doing back home and what they can then do here in the United States so that they can not just sit around, and feel at home. And that's how we came up and started the agriculture program. Any questions so far? So it's from Somalia, from Bhutan, from Rwanda, genocide, from Burundi. Those people come here as refugees, and what do we do with them? As a government, as community, what do you do with the refugees? You ask them, you interview them, what can you do to be able to each and every day when you wake up, what can you do to fit in the community, to contribute to the community, to contribute to yourself? What can you do? And most of the skills they had is in agriculture. But agriculture in America and the agriculture in Somalia or in Bhutan is so different. So what do? So you have to provide these trainings on production, whereby it's winter. There is winter in America. There is no winter in Kenya where I come from. We have a farm where we grow food throughout the year, 12 months. But in America, you have 6 months. So you have to do a lot of preparation, a lot of planning, right? So that's how we came up with NASAP. And we felt that it's very important to do that. Because if these people don't do that, they sit in the house, some of them are aged, they are not going to go to work anywhere. Some of them we are providing literacy classes. They are not going to start like a child, going to school and all that. So we have where you are right now. How can we work together? So they tell us, I would like to do agriculture, and we take that and find ways on how we can help them integrate into the system. All right? So we do all those trainings, including now the agriculture training, which is New American Sustainable Agriculture Project, called as NASAP, which is a land and market-based training program. So we have to teach production and marketing because it's totally different. And you'll see on my slide, it's totally different. They have to learn all these new skills on how to produce and how to market. Before we go to who grow our food, farming as an occupation has been growing steadily for more than 3 decades in 2012. The average of American farmers was 58 years old, according to U.S. Census of Agriculture. In the same census, 1/3 of farmers were aged 65 years and older. Only 6% of farmers were young than 35 years. So I ask you, who will grow our food? Back home, where I come from in Kenya, agriculture is fading too. It is. Nobody want to take that route. And it's becoming a problem that our country, as it is developing very fast, at 7% economically per year, there are no young people do not want to take the route of agriculture because of the way it has been portrayed. So who will grow our food? Big problem. And that's why when I went home, I was trying and design a farm business in such a way that, yes, you can do agriculture and be self-employed. The net income of the agriculture can match the net income of someone working in an office in my town. Because how else? If you tell me to work farming and I am making, for example, $10,000, I don't know live on that, isn't it? So when I went back home, I was trying to counter that, like through steps and process, you can be able to live doing agriculture. And that's where we are now in the US, like who will grow our food? What is the problem in agriculture system? All right? So that's a very big question. I don't know the answer for the United States, who will grow our own food in the next 10, 15, 20 years, whether we will buy all imported food or we will take pills to have the nutrients. I have no idea. But I think we can go back to our roots and possibly start growing our own food from backyard, from balcony and all that kind of stuff. So this is a picture of one of our farmers in Dunbarton, where we have 7 acres, which we have been growing food. Although right now we have purchased the entire farm from 7 to 54 acres. So we have a huge plan where we hope to implement projects each year, growing food, raising bees, raising animals. So we'll see how that goes. But this is one of our farmers who is growing food and selling it for herself and also selling it to the surrounding communities. So our farmers, you can see on these pictures, this is a farmer in Somaliland. And you know, there is Somali and Somaliland. Somaliland is more temperatures than Somali, right? And she is growing okra. And this is the farming in Danibatan. You can see it more diverse because of broccolis and cauliflower. In Somali, there is no broccoli. Also in Kenya, my mother asked me, how do you cook broccoli? Because they eat mostly traditional vegetables. And we'll talk about those as we go, like what are those vegetables. But they're different. And when they are here, they farm for business and for themselves, which is great. And we will discuss why. Why grow broccoli and cauliflower and radishes? In Somalia, I never knew what is a radishes. Why do I, we will discuss some of that. So we have diverse culture. As you have seen, we have people from different countries, and different countries do different things when it comes to agriculture. We have people from Somalia, Rwanda, Burundi, Congo, and Bhutan. All right? And if you go into history and try to understand why and where the problem started with Somali, okay, or Rwanda genocide, or Burundi genocide, Congo and Bhutan, you'll see nobody of all these countries wanted to leave their country. It was because of war. War because of your religion, your culture. That's how it began, or your political belief. None of these people would have preferred to leave their country. So when they come here, we have, although it's one farm, but we have diverse culture, whereby you find someone from Bhutan is growing different kind of crops, different ways, and we have to take it all together and try to make it work. And it's really interesting and a lot of fun. And actually, before, as I know I have a lot of things to discuss, I would like to invite you guys, when you feel like you are ready, you can come and turn the button, see what we are doing. And if you want, we design. We do some practical design on permaculture and kitchen gardening and all that kind of stuff, right? So before we go on deep, I would like to invite you, we encourage and invite all our guests to come to our farm, and we can set a whole day and we can go through topics by topics on how to design the farm. We will share the knowledge because it's too much to share within 2 hours. Okay? So, when some of our farmers come to New Hampshire, this is what they do in their country. But then when you get here, there is no oxes, and you go to the tractors. Modernization of agriculture, you go to tractors, and actually this is a small scale farmers because we have all big tractors in the United States. So they have to learn to use this machine, which is a tiller, which is like we bought this and I had to train it for a simple tiller. This has gears. It's a modern tiller which has gear number 1, gear number 2, gear number 3. It has a neutral. You have to engage. Most of our farmers cannot deal with that. I don't want to deal with it. So we had to find a tiller which is like just, it's either I'm not working or it's working. You have to engage those, it has to be simple. So we have to learn from machinery to weather, and also weather, because the weather changes very fast too. A little, yeah, sure. So, and I will make sure you keep me on track. Thank you. So we have to teach about season extension, about, like right now, from next week, we will be having salad, lettuce, not broccoli, but spinach, and radish, spinach. It's going to be ready from next week. Why? Because our farmers started working in the greenhouse around March, and the weather keep changing, the temperature keep rising, so we will be having some saranch from next week because of season extension, whereby we have greenhouse. We have 5 high tunnels. They are not greenhouse, because greenhouse is heated tunnels, whereby high tunnels are just plastic which is not heated. So we have high tunnels, 5 of them, and we have farmers growing food from some of them planted spinach last year, and now it's ready, okay, to extend the season from May to up to December, depending on the weather, all right, other than from June to October, okay. So that season extension is very important for them too. They love doing that. They love when it's too cold in March. They feel like, oh, we're gonna go to the greenhouse, and it really helped them. As one of our farmers, we went to a church last Sunday, and we were explaining what we do. He's a refugee, he's a farmer, and he was like, it's like when you go to a massage, it's therapeutic. All right, it helps them with their problem. It consoles them and calms them down. All right. So we connect with the local experts, agriculture extensionists, and they come in, and we host events where we learn from them, and so that's how we have managed to learn very many things, and also they have helped us develop. For instance, through NRCS, which is an agency from USDA, farmers contribute X amount of money, and then the USDA contribute X amount of money to be able to build these high tunnels, because each of them costs more than $10,000. So that collaboration is very important with local experts from USDA. So we also teach markets, because it's different, and you can see on this picture it's different. This is somewhere selling, and also this is in US. You can see them different. Okay, so we try to focus also on marketing. How do we market our produce? Okay, you can see that. So Fresh Start Farm is some brand whereby we market. We have insurance for to cover the farm, and we also do bill through the collective brand, and also we do payment to the farmer from this collective brand. So if you buy a CSA, the CSA, the money goes to the account of Fresh Start Farm, and then from there directly to the farmer. Okay, it's like congregating, because it's many farmers on one big farm. We sell as one, but you get what you sowed, 100% of what you sowed, just as a way of harmonizing the market. Okay, so our brand is Fresh Start Farm. We grow over 40 varieties of different produce, and we have what is familiar, which is broccoli and carrot, and also we have exotic products from different communities, from Bhutan, from Somalia, from Rwanda, from Burundi. It's very interesting. They all have different produce. This is a variety of squash from Somalia, and these people can sell these varieties to their community. So as much as they are selling to Americans, they are also selling to their community in Manchester or in Concord. Okay, so when you come to our farm, they normally set up a space for their community or their cultural fruit, which is called ethnic crops, and also for the market. And the market means the regional Americans food, broccoli, cauliflower, turnips, everything, you name it. Okay. And they grow a lot of bitter melons and African eggplants, and they normally like bitter melons has a lot of medicinal value on high blood pressure. They really like eating that kind of product. Okay, so that's what they are doing. They are growing food for themselves, for their communities, and also for the market, for the surrounding communities. So, when do we sell all these products? We have Granite State Market Match, Farm to School, Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program. We also donate a lot of food to New Hampshire Food Bank, local soup kitchen in Manchester, and also we have a share of share, and I don't discuss about what is a share. Some people pay share to share it to other people who are in need. So that is the community support, which is CSA, Community Support and Agriculture. And most of you are aware of what that is. Isn't it? Anyone with a question about CSA? Great. So, yeah, we do all that, and most of our farmers have learned how to grow different vegetables for their market, and also grow flowers, because they know that Americans love flowers. When I started my business of eco launch in Kenya, because it's a farm, a ranch, and also growing food, I also learned that most of our customers love, because they come from different countries who are working in Nairobi for diplomatic and also local people. You know, I have managed to, like, some of these diplomats, they really love flowers. So we have a greenhouse where we grow different flowers every month. You know, you can grow from January to December. So that concept of understanding what is the consumer need is very important, and most of our farmers are running very fast what are the needs of the communities, and also the beauty of the farm. You know, we grow flowers for selling and also to make our farm look admirable. So join our growing community of supporters. Volunteer our farm at Danny Burton. You can become a CSA member or donate to our support program. It's very brief, but I think I have given you an overview of what we are trying to do. We started 2012. It started as a kitchen garden with 1 acre, then it becomes 7 acres, and now we are purchasing 54 acres from the family who donated. First they donated, and eventually now they have decided we are going to donate half the price to you guys. So we are paying half the price of 54 acres to continue with the agriculture program in Dunbarton. And we are hoping to continue with the farming for vegetables. We hope to start raising animals, and we are also hoping to start beekeeping and everything which is required, and make the whole farm ecosystem a whole farm system, which you have to have animals and yes, that'll be good, because not for pets, but also for eating, because Africans love goat meat. The way Americans love beef, Africans love goat. One day I went to Maine and I met a lady who had a goat as a pet, and the goat was run it like a cat. And she asked me, "Oh, you know goat?" Yes. And then say, "We eat goat." I said, "You're not gonna eat my goat, are you?" Doing, you know. So I try like, "Do you eat beef?" Yes. But in Africa, people eat really little meat. Although they eat goat, the amount of beef of goat they eat is incomparable to amount of beef which are consumed in America per day. The amount of animals killed in America per day is nowhere to match in this world. A lot of meat, a lot. We don't eat so much meat in my country. And you know, I will tell you a story, because when I was growing up, I grew up in a small village where people have a very different lifestyle from the people in the city. The city is Nairobi. And I used to hear in the village, like, there is diseases for rich and poor. What they meant about that was like there is diseases associated with nutrition, what you eat. So back then, my village used to know that you have a cancer. Oh, really? You must be having issue with diet. It's changing, and it has changed very fast. So immediately when I finished college, when I finished my study and didn't graduate, I went to Germany to study biodynamic farming with the families. And when I came back, immediately I was hired to transform a conventional farm to an organic farm. The person who hired me was a wealthy president and advisor. His wife had cancer, and they were fully convinced their diet was not good. So they hired me we want you to change our family diet, and we want to be able to be eating 80% vegetable from here, grown organically. Okay? Do you see how it changes very fast? And then they told me, and then my mission was also to transform, because 2 acres is a lot of food, also to make it as a farm business for the communities around the city. The community around the city was also wealthy. There was presidents and ministers and all that kind of stuff. So, and that's how we began the organic agriculture in Kenya, because it's people making policies. They live in one area, in Washington. We live here. So we have a problem. What are we eating each and every day? Why? Why are we getting so sick? And when they go to nutrition is there. You have to change your diet. They are eating sausages. They are eating. I'm not saying sausage will give you cancer. Don't get me wrong. But like change your nutrition. So, and that's how I worked there, and that's how it is in Kenya even now. There are diseases which are associated with nutrition because you can afford certain stuff which I can afford. At some point, there is truth in it. Because if I can afford anything on the store, I don't go for it. And some people will not afford that. They will only afford healthy vegetables, which they grow themselves. It's hard truth. It's hard. So, I think as we move forward as a community, we really need to think about our roots, what we eat, what we put on our bodies. It's very important. Well, you can join us for a volunteer, and as I mentioned, if you want to organize a day, you come for a few hours in Dunbarton and we can do some design on permaculture. If you live on a balcony, there is always a way to design depending on your space. All right? Okay. That's all for Oris. That's what we are doing as an organization in Manchester. Any question? Please? Good. All right. So I want you to take 2 minutes, think over about what we have talked. When I come back, give like a question for 2 or 3, 4 minutes before we go into principles of organic farming. So we will have a discussion about organic farming and garden management. And over the years, I have noticed that, and I have learned that for you to succeed on organic gardening or organic farming, you must focus a lot on 2 things: soil fertility management, and pest and diseases management. If you fail on fertility management, you will definitely fail on pest and diseases management, and that brings you to production. If your fertility is poor, if your pest and management strategies are poor, then your production is poor. Because of time, when I was told I have to present, I normally train 1 week, a whole week. Like I went to northern part of Kenya for 1 week to discuss about fertility management, how to take care of soil, strategies to take care of soils, and that took me 1 week. But today we will touch on 1 or 2. And when you come to Dunbarton for a day or 2, we can discuss more about it. Okay? So that's where I think it's very important. Fertility management, taking care of soil. And once you take care of soil, the soil will take care of you. It will take care of your plants and so forth. Some of the objectives on that will be characteristics of healthy soils, indicators for health soil assessment, key soil health management options, and also developing soil fertility management strategies. I did bring some notes. Each one of you take at least a copy. Great. So, and this is a discussion, although we are on time, still we can talk about, is it acceptable to add only nutrients to get a crop, or is it more worthwhile to try and provide all the known and unknown nutrients and growing conditions to allow the plant to grow at their optimum? Basically, it's, do you take care of the soil or just the plant? Which is which? Talk to me. Which is which? Great. Fantastic. Yeah. Once we take care of the soil will take care of the plant and then take care of ourselves. All right? There are two approaches on how our garden grows. Feed the plant direct, which involve using soluble fertilizers so that the nutrients are pre-digested for plant use without need for soil processes, or conventional approaches. There are only two ways. You do organic, whereby you take care of the soil, or you take a shortcut. We always say you take a shortcut, and a shortcut is whereby your plant is not doing well and just add conventional fertilizers. But we as organic farmers or gardeners, we believe on feeding the soil and the soil process and provide for the plant, which involve creating and maintaining optimal conditions on fertile soil, under which a healthy soil-plant relationship can exist, either organic or biological agriculture approach. When I came from Kenya 4 weeks ago, my colleagues, my organization asked me to come and train and discuss about our organization and what we do and some of the approaches we take in agriculture farming. And I told them, I say, organic agriculture in US or in Europe started earlier than in Africa. All right, the aware is more higher in US than is in back home. So I said, what do you want me to tell them? They know it. But I think it's open to discuss, like, why do we do that? Why do we use either to go through organic or conventional? We import all fertilizers from either US or in Europe. We don't manufacture fertilizers in Kenya. Never. We don't do it. We import it. We don't have the GMOs in Kenya. Companies from US are coming to develop GMOs. They are pushing the government to adopt genetically modified technologies. We don't do it. And the question is, why are you pushing us too much to go to GMO when you have not provided knowledge to our community about it? It comes back to knowledge. Do you understand? That's the question. Do you understand the implications of organic and GMOs? And that's where the problem is. Because if you decide or understand, you can decide, do I go for it or not go for it? And that was my question with my organization, like why I just came from Africa training and trying to push for, let's take care of our soil, let's take care of our soil erosion, let's do afforestation so that we have forests, we have rain and water, let's grow our own food in a natural way. Let's have that understanding. And then somewhere else, it's like it's in between GMO or organic. You have that understanding, and that was my argument. You're welcome. So, what is soil fertility? Soil fertility is the ability of soil to provide plant nutrients, regulate water, filter pollutants, hold nutrients, and also has a proper pH. We can only know what we have on our garden or on our farm by doing a soil test. And when you do a soil test, you know whether your soil is either acidic or alkaline. But if your soil is good, it must have ability to regulate water, filter pollutants, hold the nutrients, and also good soil pH. So if you have a garden and you want to know what to do, what to add, what not to add, it's important to do a soil test. It's very cheap to take your soil to the USDA, any close USDA office, and they don't do a soil test for you. And that's how we approach it. In Dunbarton, we did the soil testing because it's the only way to understand. And back again, you must understand the importance of organic farming and also the effects of conventional farming. These are 10 characteristics of good soil. It has good soil teeth. It has sufficient depth. Sufficient but not excess supply of nutrients. It has small population of plant pathogen and insect pests. It has good drainage. It has a large population of beneficial organisms. It has low wind pressure. It's free of chemical and toxin that may harm the crop. It's resistant to degradation, and also its resilience when unfavorable conditions occur. It's like you are bonded. You are weak, you get sick, you're more likely to get really hit by the disease. Same to the soil, same to the crop. It's clear about the characteristic of good soil health. So if your soil does not meet this, you have to do something. Free of chemical and toxin that may harm the crop. Some farms, like we were looking onto a farm to purchase, and it was farmed for more than 40 years with chemicals, and that really not good. We did not want to go there because that is very contaminated. So it's very important to look at those characteristics when you're trying to determine what kind of a soil, whether it's a small garden or a big farm or mid farm you have. I don't know in Derry, but I know that in Kenya and everywhere there are clay soil, silt soil, sandy soil, and loam soils, and each soil has its own characteristic. For instance, clay soil warms slowly and cools slowly. Silt soil has a good water retention. Sandy soil has quick to warm and cool, and loam soil is the best of all. How do we change good soil bad soil into good soil? Where I have the farm, we have loam soil. We do have another farm in part of Kenya whereby it's sandy soil. But if you are born or find yourself in sandy soil, what do? Do you just give up? You don't give up. What you do is improve the soil. You have to improve that soil. I have a farm also in Kenya in a very bad place, it's not bad. No, there is nowhere where it's bad. It's just that some places are better than the other, but you can improve. So I do have a farm where we are really focusing and designing permaculture principles, and it's sandy soil. We are trying to improve that soil. And how are we improving the soil? Because if it's not good, if it does not meet the characteristic we have seen before this slide, we have to improve it. And how do we do that? Let's see. Yes.
Just wondering, of course, the British had many farms in Kenya
Yes.
until the 1960s.
Yes.
Did they learn these lessons and bring them back to Great Britain?
Normally, it wasn't like that, unfortunately. The British, for instance, I do have a farm whereby it was owned by British.
Many of them were, and a few still are.
Yes, and they owned farms along the lakes. All right, very beautiful grassland, fertile soils. Whatever they did and whatever they were doing at that time, once the soil is burnt, they were moving on, which was horrible. You just use the nutrient and everything, move on. So, for instance, they were moving from one lake region to another. They would go open up, and they had really mapped up clearly. We're gonna start here, A, B, C. So they would utilize that land. Once it's done, they were doing farming and grazing. Once it's completely overgrazed, move to the next, and they built a railway around that.
I know the Kenyan people didn't like that very much.
No, they did not like, and it has taken so many years, because now actually what happened next is these flower farms, for instance, on the rich regions where they were farming and grazing and overgrazed, and then now from 1960s, 70s, and 80s, some flowers came in, 80s and 90s, and what they are doing is they have built a lot of greenhouses where they are growing flowers for export. Once that land is completely degraded, they move to Ethiopia, which is awful. It's awful. They use chemicals, they use so much fertilizers and chemicals, and it's reaching to the lake. And once they feel like it's done, we can't farm this, no, they move to Ethiopia. They don't go to Zambia. It's hard, it's tough. So, but anyway, the only way to change the soil, to change the environment, you all know, is either you come and if they plant trees and also organic and organic matter. In the case for our farm here, we are trying to add a lot of organic matter by making compost. You all guys know how to make compost, balancing nitrogen and carbon so that you have a good compost. All right. A cup. They do. That's the best way to use the leftovers, and it's the only way. In Kenya or here in US, we are buying compost, but we want to move from buying to making our own compost, raising animals, and also making our own compost from leftovers. A company I was working for is really focusing on like rural area, like what is in this rural. We did a study on everything which is on the area which can become resource in terms of organic matter, and that was we were focusing for the last 3 years. And when I hear actually in US, it's really actually easier to make compost because there is so much resources to do that, to take it back to the soil. The land is big. I tell you, in Kenya, 1 acre of a farm. See here in US, I know it's gonna depend on where you are. If it's very expensive, but 1 acre of a farm in Kenya, where I come from, it goes for more than $40,000. 1 acre, $20,000, $40,000, $50,000, even to $100,000. 1 acre with nothing. So people are trying to really become innovative on what to do and still continue growing food for the people. Okay, so again, we can discuss more about how to make compost after this. If you want some more information, I can send to you. You can come to see on our farm. We have made a lot of compost, balancing carbon and nitrogen, and that's the secret. You have to balance those two, carbon, nitrogen, to have a good compost. Animal manure increases nutrient level of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and that's the difference between compost and animal manure. Animal manure has high level of nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. But it must be noted that fresh animal manure is no good. It must be aged so that it doesn't have E. coli bacteria, like the one I was reading from California, whereby they use and compost and manure, and at the end of the day, the romaine lettuce and other salons get to New England with some contamination. So it's very important to compost it fully to be able to have a balanced and good manure, safe to use. Compost, unlike manure, compost is very stable and not readily available source of nutrients until it's fully composted. Addition of compost increases available water retention and also some results with suppressing various crop and pests. Over the year, we have learned that if you follow these principles, you will experience no problem. I finished college in 2005 and I started farming. Within 4 years, the farm I was converting for the president and advisor, within 4 years, I was dealing with no problem because I started with the soil, and once you have good soil, you take care of most of the pests and the diseases. So it came to a point whereby people who are coming to visit, they are like, how do you do it? Won't you spray? But no, I don't spray. I take care of the soil. And they say, can you teach me? No, I can't teach you today. It has to be a process. Okay? You take care of the soil and they take care of the plant, and you build up a very strong immune system within the soil and the ecosystem. And that's how it works. There is no shortcut. Shortcut is conventional chemical and conventional fertilizer. Two-way. Either you go the right way or you take a shortcut. So when you use a lot of compost, it also helps a lot in dealing with the pest, wind. When you have no wind on your farm, you are sure that you will not have a lot of pest problem. You will not have a lot of diseases which comes because of humidities, and I will give you some papers about that. So it's very important to take care of your soil. As it decomposes, crop residues, some of them, not all of them, the organic matter is going back to the soil, improving the soil tooth. Crop residues left on the surface will protect against erosion and improve surface aggregation, reducing clustering and surface compaction. When you leave some corn on the field, it helps your soils. Unless, and this is a caution, disease crop debris can pass on the next season if susceptible crop is planted. Option for crop rotation of non-susceptible crop or removal and composting is advisable. And that I have right now a farm in Kenya, because here in New Hampshire sometimes when you take a break on winter, it kills a lot of pests and diseases. If you do cover cropping, it also helps to improve the soil fertility. But back home, when you have 12 years, sometimes people forget, either because the population is too high where the land is good, that you cannot stop growing 12 months in a year. But here, you can give a soil a rest, and you plant cover crop. There are a lot of benefits for cover crops. Back home, what I'm trying to do, because the land is not very big, is growing corn and the maize and the beans. I don't let the corn to grow to harvest at some point and grow it up to maybe a couple of feet, and also some beans, and till it back. Cut it all and back to the soil so that we take care of the soil. And that way we are managing now to be able to grow food throughout the year. It's going back to the soil. We have to take care of the soil, and the soil will take care of very many things ahead. All right? We also apply minerals like rock phosphate, green sand, or limestone. Limestone contains calcium and magnesium, and also is used to raise the soil pH. The appropriate soil pH of growing vegetables is between 6.2 and 6.8. You can only know what your soil is through a soil test. And if you don't do a soil test, I can tell you, you will not be able to know what to do. You have to really do a soil test so that you know what is missing on your soil. Whether you have a small garden or a big farm which you want to develop slowly, you must understand your soil. And that's what we have managed to do in Derry Button, because we are growing food each and every year. Every 3 years we do a soil test, and through the recommendation we make decisions on what to do next. There is so many resources and inputs in US. I don't see why you would eat chemical. I don't know why you would do that. And I tell you that because right now, when I came here, before I came, I had a phone call. I was discussing with my people back home and my manager from Japan. They are really focusing on trying to implement organic fertilizer input. So we are building literally a laboratory to be able to do tests. You don't need that here. It's already tested. We can go pro-grow fertilizer, which is all organic. You have everything you need. Why do you want to eat chemicals? Remember, I told you, when I was born in 1980, when I started realizing what agriculture, 1990 and 2000, there was diseases for the rich. Because that's the best way they could define it. You can define it in a more, you don't say rich or poor, that's too dramatic, but it's nutrition. Depending on what you eat each every day, it will have consequences. And when I finished college and I went to work because there was a problem in a family whereby they thought like they have gone wrong, although it was too late. You have all that. You have everything to change your lifestyles. Before I went to college, my dad asked me, "What do you want to go study at the university?" I said, I want to go study agriculture. What kind of agriculture? He was a conventional farmer. Every time we spray coffee, because I grew up in a place where there is coffee and teas and horticulture. I would nose bleed. If I walk on that field where they sprayed, start nose bleeding. And I knew something was wrong. But wisdom prevailed, like, why? I went down to why. And I started realizing, why chemicals? Why is it that when I go to the coffee plantation where there is so much chemical, I go home nose bleeding? I can't breathe. Why? And I started, where's this chemical coming from? And that's how I ended up doing study on organic agriculture. And it's all tied together. Nutrition, what you do, has consequences. And along as I studied like an environment, nutrition, all of that come down to problems. It's also very important, whether you have a small garden or a big garden, to have a crop rotation. wind up? Okay, great. So I round up very quick. So do crop rotation. Integrated pest management. It's very important to understand your pest and know how to control your pest. There are cause and correction approach to pest and disease management, whereby you have attracting beneficial insects, catch-all control of crop pests, and so forth. The goal of pest and disease management is to increase crop quality and also quantity. We all know that. You want to control that so that you can have a good quality and also quantity. You don't want crop with tartan and worms and all that. But once you follow the organic principles and management, you will have good crop. The principles of organic pest management is to maintain the diversity and fertility of the soil, whereby you keep good pest management by taking care of your soil and keeping your farm diversified. Plant positive versus pest negative. Pest and disease are indicator of a stressed plant. You must understand, as the doctors understand, why am I sick? Is it they don't treat, they try to find out why are you getting sick, and that's how they treat. And also to the plant, that you have to understand that it's an analogy of predator taking down the sick or weak or injured. It's very important to do the steps which prevent other than to cure. Causes, correction, and approach. It's hard truth that if you don't understand the approach, you won't be able to understand how organic agriculture really works. Nor will you have an idea of its potential. Without this understanding, organic agriculture continues to be constrained by imitative type of thinking that merely substitute organic for chemical, which we were discussing about taking a shortcut. If you don't understand organic and believe it can work, you just take a shortcut, which is not the right way. Plant health checklist, adding organic matter, availability of major and minor nutrients, correcting soil pH are all important to have a healthy soil. There are 10 easy steps to prevent cancer disease, and I knew because of time, I mean we couldn't go through, and this will guide you. Even if I stop now, if you follow this, they will really mean a lot to my presentation. There are catch-all method of controlling pests and diseases, which are some of them: foliar spray, like liquid compost, fish immersion, and all that kind of stuff. And I have told you there is everything you need to buy in the shop. We do make those things in Kenya, like we make soap, we make our liquid fish, but here you can buy in the shop. You can buy anything which is set around by organic standards. Whatever you can buy, I don't give you this because this is mostly the common fungal disease where you use just baking soda. For the last 7 years in US, I have realized that powdery mildew is a big problem, which is a fungal disease. So if you use baking soda, and I have used it here and also in Kenya, it really works. And the notes are right there. Okay. Wind management is very important. Thank you. It's very important to keep your garden off the wind. Some of common garden diseases are powdery mildew, and I have given you some of those notes so that you can check on them. Growing tomato is a very big problem, and if you follow some of the steps of the notes I give you, you will be safe. Unless you experience this problem, which is blossom end rot. If you have this problem, you have to make sure your plant has enough potassium, and also it's getting enough water. It's either water or potassium. All right. Powdery mildew, this is the problem. I have given you the note on how to take care of that. And if you follow the instruction and do it every week and take out the most diseased plant, you will be safe. And it's very important to have this guy on your garden, which is scouting for the pest, yellow sticks. It will give you a lot on what you are having on your garden. If you have this guy, you will know what's coming. We have it on our farm. I have it here. I have it in Kenya. It's the first indicator. It's like alarm, like smoke alarm. There is some problem. And once you understand, you will be able to take care of it. All right? Well, now I will be finishing with band bags and gund bags. You all know that there are gund bags and band bags. We are working with USDA in Dunbarton to provide habitat for gund bags, because it's very important on your garden to have gund bags to take care of band bags. Well, I have some notes here of gund bags. And some plants, there are only two, but there are very many plants you can put on your garden which can be habitat for gund bags, so that they can live there, and whenever there is a problem, they can go and take care of it on your garden. So you can have a piece of that. Which one? Companion? Yes, I can send you that. I can send you that. I will just have you give me your email. I do have some notes about that. Thank you. Good. I will give you, and you give me. So, and the last, this is the last one. Controlled use of biological pesticide. And that what we are saying, because some people will never they will want to spray. It's very important to know how to mix and apply pesticide according to manufacturer guide, and it's also going to determine the cost of the pesticide. If you decide to spray, understand the window of harvest, otherwise consumption of crop can make consumers sick. And it's not a joke. I have seen, and this is what I have seen because I worked with the flower farms in Kenya. Flowers companies are really focused on profit. some of their workers are spraying every day in a week for 13 days. What do you expect those people will have? You go to the hospital, most of the deaths are coming from the flower farm. They are having so many health problems. So chemicals, you must be very careful with it. If you're gonna use it, like, make sure you follow the instructions. And that's all for today. And I'll open up for some questions, either about the program or about anything. Okay. Okay. All right. Good. So. All right. Great. So that was it for today. And if you have any question to follow up with about the program or anything, you can email me, and I will be happy to respond to your question.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.